Okay, friends, subscribers, and all you YouTubers out there. No, I'm not doing a Yahoo movie. I'm doing a how would you say it? I first spotted the story here on Yahoo. Okay, that's as much as I'm going to do on Yahoo. But what I want to point out is that NASA is basically saying this is not a like a UFO. They're pretty much vivid about it. If you go into the descriptions and everything, all the people like me out there that are very curious about this image and everything, I went to the main raw image, which is this one, as you can see here. This is the NASA raw image. All right, we click on to full view it, and we get the full view. It's still there. We click on that. Yeah, okay, so what you got to do, you have to save it. Right, now anybody that knows that you save it, then what you do, you call it up in shop. Take a second to get our screen up. And there it is there. Yes, folks, what all I have done is just simply gone into image size, jammed the resolution up to 3600 so we can get a better picture. Generally what happens when you ram up the resolution, what will happen, you will tell if this is part of the image or not. And as you can see, that light affects the background, foreground. That is part of the image. That was taken on Mars. That light is not an part of the glancing or anything like that. You can see here how it blends well and truly into the background. And yes, folks, that is something there. Whether it is an alien, I don't think it is an alien, but I think it's created by something up on Mars. So we're calling everything back up. My computer has just spagged the dummy. Something shocking. I'm going to put that back to where it belongs. And as you can see, that's all it was. Just a little. My computer's going nuts because I've got a few programs going on, folks. Sorry about that. But I'm not stopping this recording. I'm showing you that the pixelation, no matter what I do to it in resolution, it pretty much stays the same. But it's what happens in the foreground and everything. We basically have here definitely something that is on Mars. Okay, NASA, you can try and cover this one up. It is not going to work. There is something on Mars. There is something you're not telling us. And you have to wake up, NASA. We know about all the shit on Mars. Like, I can go into my images and I can get stuff back that I originally went public about, then all of a sudden you change the names on it and everything like that. And it happens to nearly every one of us that goes public about something. Right? But the thing that amazed me this time, NASA, is the fact that you defended and you come up with all this stuff, and you're saying in your answers, where is it? Where are we? Sorry, folks. Shortly after affirming, there we go. And everything I've read from NASA says that this image is not an alien. Okay, so why is it taking me to this one? You can never tell with this stuff, folks. It's sort of YouTube and Mars and everything. It's all protected. It's all running through the same thing. I had to actually go in and find it. Originally, it was one of the top stories, but everything changed. So basically, when everything changes, all you can do is basically revert back to this image. And this image says that's on Mars. I don't care what anybody says. It affects the ground around it. And have a look. Right? It's affecting the ground around it. It's lighting up the ground. if that was just an anomaly that came through on the lens, right, it would not affect this area here. This reminds me of a light that we have. I'm in a volunteer service and everything like that. We've got a light that we put up really quick. It's one that goes on the blower, and it puts up this giant tower. It's got its own nickname and everything, and I'm pretty sure everyone can gather what that nickname is just by looking at that image. But that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of a work light. One of those blow-up, stand-up, high-powered work lights on Mars. And yes, folks, this is a genuine image of Mars. I've checked. I've looked at the raw images. I've just showed you earlier that this is a raw image of Mars. So NASA, again, it's time to come clean. Stop hiding all this shit. We're sick of it. We are sick and tired of you hiding all this stuff. And you're saying this is a raw image, NASA. This is one of the worst raw images I've seen. Normally when I blow a raw image up, I get a lot better clarity than this, NASA. You're definitely hiding something. There's more to this image than you're saying. Where's the colour version, NASA? Where is the colour version? Like, I can do the colour version. I can go up here and go adjust. First of all, we've got to change the thing, put it on RGB. Then what we'll do, we'll jump up here and go adjustments, levels, polarize, gradients. Why is it not doing it? Didn't do it. Okay, it's not jumping over. A lock on this. That shouldn't be doing this. It should be allowing. Okay, there we go. Adjustments then. Color balance. We'll push her up in the red scale just to give you a Mars picture. There we go, folks. Just make it a little bit more true to Mars. This is how they make the Mars images, by the way. They just get a grayscale image and they go up. And no matter what I do to it, folks, there we go. We have a light on Mars. It is affecting the heat of whatever is radiating from this object. Right? Now, light creates heat. And when you take a picture of a light that's creating heat, it creates this aura effect. Now, this aura effect is around this object. Whether this is, as some people have suggested, is this an alien coming over to see what's going on? Well, if it was, I would say that's a force field of some description around it. But the question is, right, if we allow NASA to keep on feeding us all this shit, right, all you're going to see is stuff like this. They're going to make out that this thing is, I'll try and get as close to Mars colours as I can, but they're going to tell you that's a Mars image. They're the colour of the sky, and this is how they do it. They actually select a section, and they'll make the colour the sky that section, and they'll colour the sky that section. But what they're not really showing you is the real images. Right? You can affect colours. Yes, you can do anything in Photoshop. We'll put it back to normal. That's how the raw image so-calledly is coming. But I don't know if you noticed some shape actually forming in this when I did fiddle with the colour balance. And I actually just noticed it as I shut it down. So we're going to go colour balance again. We're going to jack up the red, lower the yellows. Notice how there's a shape actually in here now. There is actually some kind of a shape in there. Right, so sometimes adjusting colour. So I'm actually going to keep that this time. Oh, okay. Didn't work. Oh, I forgot to adjust the blue and everything on it. But if I kept it and everything, but you can see here, if we zoom in on it even more, right, there is a shape to this. There is definitely shape. It is definitely affecting the area around it. Right, there's a heat coming off it. Now, if this was what they call a photographic anomaly, right? A photographic anomaly would stay like that. It would just be that section of it. there wouldn't be heat rising. That is a true representation of heat rising from a light in a photograph. That's what happens if you get heat rising from a light in a photograph. That is pretty stock standard of a result of heat rising from a light source, right? And basically, there is something here. This is nothing. This is totally out of the ordinary. And that's a blown up picture of the light on Mars. And if you don't believe me, I'll just zoom out. There it is there, folks. All I've done is up the resolution. I've cut off the colour, so it's gone back to the black and white. So when I zoom in on it, we have a true representation of a light on Mars. Yes, folks, there is something definitely on Mars. NASA can't cover this up because when you zoom in on it, right, the best way to describe it, it's basic physics. Heat rises. Light generates heat because the expulsion of energy. So when you're expelling energy, you're going to expel heat. So, we've got the heat. They've got the light source. The light source down the bottom is quite bold, and it's shooting up. The hottest part is naturally in the center. Then the next bit comes out, then the next bit comes out, and the next bit comes out. What do we have, folks? We have something extremely hot on Mars' surface, and it's a light. It's a light. Yes, I'm saying light. Is it a light being? I don't know. But it is definitely a light, because when you look at photos of lights, like this is what I do when I do examinations of UFO drawings. Okay? This is how I can tell you generally pretty much if a UFO is real or if it's a light. If you generally get this pattern in a background, and you've got a bright section down the bottom that's affecting an area around it and has this heat source above it, if you're looking, that is if the right way of the photo is correct. That would mean 100% you're looking at a light source. Right? Now, what's causing the light source on Mars? It's got me just as bewildered as every single one of you looking at this image at this very minute. Because, as you can see here, right, that's not just all of it. There's more to that. It's still generating heat up here. See it? I kept that hidden for a second. Right, so to me, that says that this is generating heat. And what quenches it, see this brightness over here? Right, NASA forgets to tell everybody there is wind on Mars. Right, there's storms all the time on Mars. Part of the heat from this object is blowing across here. See it? Just there. The heat is blowing across there, and we got little puffs of heat across there. So let's just go and see if there's any more. Oh, wow, what do we find? Heat. And you're going to generate off that a bit, and we're going to zoom back in on it slowly. Now you watch. So we can even get a wind direction at the time the photograph was taken. At first I thought that was part of the hill, but it's actually not part of the hill. Whatever this is being generated from this, and that is a cloud of heat. And I'm not saying smoke, I'm saying heat. This has heated up the atmosphere. The wind has blown it across here, and the camera has picked up the heat. These cameras are designed to pick up heat. Right? They will pick up heat as part of any camera will pick up heat, basically. But NASA's cameras are more pronounced to pick up heat sources. And that's what it has done. It has picked up a heat source. A very, very large heat source. Notice how that is coming off here. It is definitely coming from this object, whatever this is. That is definitely coming from the object. So it's not okay, there is foreground behind it, yes. But what you've got to do is you've got to say, okay, what is foreground, what is heat, right? That's a different colour to over here, but that heat is generating off here. There is no two ways about it. That blueness or greyness, that level of greyness is, notice how it's puffy. It's not one level, it's puffy. To me, puffy means it's been blown away like a little cloud of heat. And we have here, there, that area there, that is a higher intensity of heat. That is still heat radiating from this here. Different levels of heat. And the reason why people think it's an alien is because when you get back from it, they're looking at how it sort of goes round and goes down like this. But it's a giant light source. Whatever the light source is, I don't know, folks. I really can't tell you. And I've got to be honest. I don't know. It's unidentified. That's the story of unidentified. I've zoomed in on it. And I'll zoom in on it while you're here with me. That's pretty much all I get. Is I get that. That's the pixelation of the picture. So we go and have a quick look at everything else. Does everything look pretty much standard for NASA pictures? Yeah, everything looks pretty much standard for NASA pictures, except one thing. The resolution is shit on this image. For a raw image, this is quite bad. And I mean it. For a raw image, this is quite bad. NASA is hiding this. I believe that if we got a better quality raw image, this would look 100% different. We'd still get the heat sources raising off it, right? And as you can tell, they're raising off this object, right? That instantly spells light. Light equals heat. Heat equals generation. Around here, a bit of heat up here, and that is true to form to a hot light source, right? Because the heat is at the top. The bottom is slightly cooler because the air is always cooler at the lower section of whatever light it is. And I believe what it is actually being blown up out of something. And that coincides with this. Could be a jet source of some description being blown out, like out of a Martian object underground or something. I don't know. It could be anything, but every single thing spells heat. This spells heat. This spells heat. But notice how the generation goes up like that. Generation goes up and around. And we have that blue section there of heat comes off and it puffs across to the side. Right? It puffs across to the side because I think NASA has done this area over here. I believe that's a cut and paste little blown up section to cover up what they're hiding, because what they're hiding is this. It's quite brilliant, actually. I'm absolutely amazed of it. So let's just say the more NASA try to cover this up, the more this is going to come out, because that's the best resolution I'm going to experiment with, because all it will do is just change a bit of this stuff down here, take away the squareness out of this area. It'll take that squareness of the pixelation away, but you don't need to take the squareness of the pixelation away because of this. This is what says it's on Mars. It's nowhere else. It's not an accident. If it was a pixelation or a scratch accident, this would not exist around the object. This, if it was a pixelation accident, you would see something like that. And that's all you would get. But what we have got, we have heat generation. And that it's that heat generation that's going to prove this object to be a real object on Mars. What it is? Yeah, that's for NASA to tell us. But for now, all we know, it's a light source. And as I said, light generates heat. Heat in a photograph looks like that. No matter what you do, every time, if you get a photograph of lights or fires that are very hot, you are going to get this generation pattern at the top. There's no way NASA can say that this is a fault caused by exposure or caused by a nick on the film. Okay, a nick on the film would give you square pixelation of white light because there's nothing there on the image. But you've got to remember, these are digital images. There is no film. So because they're digital images, again, that also says that this is real. Whatever that is real, folks. 100% real. Can't be debunked. As to what it is, I'm sorry. I reckon I could spend 100 years looking at this image and I couldn't tell you what it is except for one thing. It is a light source, L-I-G-H-T, for those of you out there in the kiddie land. It's a light. And when you're in growing up and everything, you're going to learn that if you do photographics, that's what lights do in photos. So you're going to learn the same thing as me. That when you look at that, you're going to say it's a light source. Unidentifiable because none of us know what it is. But there is definitely something there, folks. There's definitely something there generating all of that. It's like a match or a flame. Look at a match or a flame. When you light it, you get that. Take a photo of a match or a flame and you're going to get that at the top. No matter what, you are always going to get that heat generation at the very top. I've seen it so many times in photographs. I've seen it so many times when people hand me a picture of a light they've taken trying to pass off as a UFO. All I've got to do is look at it, and I see that, and I see that, and I say, sorry, look, you've just taken a photo of a light. Please don't bother me. Sometimes UFOs generate this same kind of heat light source. How do I know? Because I actually have a video of one already presented on my YouTube channel presenting heat. Now, when that heat comes up, it creates a light source. So we're just going to go to here and we're going to jump in here, and it's going to cause a video to come up. I'm sorry about that. We'll get an ad for sure. And I'll have to skip the ad, but you'll see that's the image that I'm talking about, folks, but not that image. So just bear with a bare moment. There we go. Okay. See how it's generating the heat. Right? We've got our light source here and it's generating the heat above. Right? This is a spacecraft generating light. I believe that's how it propels itself, folks. But it generates heat. That is the heat. It's not light, just light going up, folks. That is heat being caught by the camera. And as I said, when you have a light source that generates heat, you have that pattern. You've just seen it in a much larger scale. So there we go, folks. The truth is always revealed to you, and the veil has been lifted. So open your damned eyes and tell your government it's time for disclosure. Thanks. I'll see you all on the next vid.